Hi there, my name's Adam Jabber. This is the weekly news on the Out of Collective. One of the main stories that we're going to talk about today is the fact that the Elevate Collective, which is K2, Marker, VOLKL, DeBello, and Line Skis, all pulled out of the buying group. What a buying group is and why this is a big deal is basically a collective bargaining company or separate entity for ski shops, right? So say there's 50 ski shops in America that decide they want to be involved in this buying group. What they do is they use the power of the 50 ski shops and they leverage that power to get better deals from the brands. Fine. Where are there problems with this model, right? One, some shops don't want to buy into it. Some shops don't want to share inventory. Some shops don't want to be incentivized to buy certain products from certain brands. They'd rather deal with their relationships in person, one-on-one, with no middleman. Obviously, a huge benefit there. One of the other downsides is it floods the market with certain product in certain areas, and it causes issues with distribution in terms of shops getting certain products. Okay, there's another issue. One of the things that is bad for the brand, so in this case, Marker, VOLKL, DeBello, K2, is the fact that it actually costs money to be a part of this buying group, right? So you're involving yourself in this buying group, and you're also offering significant discounts to the brand. And this is the key part, right? Like the cost to enter and all this stuff is not something that I have to tell you, but what I can tell you is they lose money across the board because the buying group decides what product, like as a whole, what products are going to be discounted, what the discount is going to be, and all this kind of thing, basically. So Marker, VOLKL, DeBello, all these brands that are under the Elevate Collective, which is now what all the K2 brands are held underneath, is basically going to take that money that they were spending and losing on the buying group, and they're going to reallocate it for better systems to help their end retailer. How much does that actually, like how much truth is there to that? I don't know. No one knows except for Marker, DeBello, VOLKL, and I don't necessarily think that they even know at this juncture. I don't think they know exactly what the savings are going to be, and I don't know if they know, like they have direct avenues where this money is going to go to, but to me, this is actually a good thing. Like it allows the relationship with the shop to improve, and it also allows these companies to go back in and improve their infrastructure in a way that positively benefits everybody that's associated with the company, whether it's the end consumer, the retailer, the athlete, and everybody in between. So I think this is actually a really important thing. It is big news because buying groups are a big deal, and they are a big deal to a lot of shops. And I've seen in my DMs that a lot of shops really enjoy them, and there are benefits to it, right? If you want a discount and you don't want to deal with a rep, and you don't want to deal with the fact that you still have to deal with the rep, but you don't want to deal with the fact that, like, okay, I don't want to haggle, I don't want to do this and that and the other thing. That's great. But I will say you can definitely get the same buying group deals or better by just having a positive relationship with your sales rep. So all of that being said, that is all you need to know about buying groups and the fact that K2, Marker, VOLKL, DeBello, and Line Skis are no longer part of them going forward. So some of you have heard Elnaz Rekabi, the climber out of Iran, had an issue a few weeks ago in a competition where she showed up to the final round of competition without wearing a headscarf, without wearing a hijab. In Iran, this is a huge offense, and it's actually been one of the things that has caused the start of what's going to be a revolution in Iran. She was competing for a short amount of time, she actually went missing. People couldn't find her. It became a really big deal. And honestly, it is a really big deal. The whole situation that goes on in Iran right now is something that the whole outdoor community needs to take note of, just because it's a place in the Middle East that constantly has issues and that constantly is making news headlines for seemingly negative reasons. It doesn't mean that we should treat that space or treat the women there or treat the athletes there any differently and not give them the coverage that they deserve. So we're talking about it. Elnaz at this point is fine. Everything's okay to a certain extent. Obviously still under the watch of the Iranian government. The idea that someone has to be forced to wear a headscarf, regardless of your beliefs, forcing someone to do anything is an insane thing to me, especially when you talk about the competition aspect of it. If it is a choice, if it is a person's choice, it is their free will, and they're more like, please, like, do what you want to do. That's the whole point. So saying someone shouldn't wear one or should wear one is exactly the same argument. Like, there's no reason to do it one way or the other. So I think the important thing that we can do as outdoor just users of the outdoor space is pay attention to the news that's going on in a place like Iran, where women are having their rights taken away and have had their rights taken away for a very long time. This is a topic, obviously, that's close to me, close-ish to me, but it's really important for everybody in this space. We can't talk about women's rights in the US without acknowledging that women's rights really don't exist everywhere, and there is a revolution that's going on in Iran right now. So pay attention to that. And honestly, shout out to Elnaz. Like, that's a super important thing. And whether it was intentional, she claims it wasn't intentional. Whether it was intentional or not, it makes headlines. It breaks that barrier between going from just being news to being outdoor news, and then the community kind of gets behind it. I think that's an important thing for everybody to kind of understand. It makes a really big difference. So be aware of that. Keep those girls in your hearts, in your minds. It's a thing that we really should think about and pay close attention to. So I asked people to send in a couple topics that they wanted to hear talked about on this segment. Two of the topics that we decided on for today is the fact that no friends on a powder day exists, and I think is really stupid. Who wants to go skiing with no one on a powder day? Doesn't make any sense. It's the silliest thing in the entire world. I don't understand. Like, okay, cool. You're cool because you ditched your friends and went skiing by yourself. That to me makes you a thumb. Okay. I don't know why that would be a thing you'd want to brag to anybody about. I don't know why you'd put that on a t-shirt. I'm not getting it. Everybody wants to go out there. Everybody wants to ski POW. I can't think of a reason why you wouldn't. However, I also think everybody that I know and that I want to ski with wants to go out there, have a good time, and enjoy themselves. Okay? That's topic one. End of discussion. If you have another opinion on this matter, you're wrong. Okay? Next thing that people wanted to talk about, and this was like surprisingly one of the things that people wanted us to talk about the most. There's a couple dozen people that said the same thing, and that is to talk about telemark. I am talking about telemark skiing because I personally do not give a shit if you telemark or don't telemark. It is a very odd way to go skiing, but if you're having a good time, go skiing. I actually would almost argue that it is a different sport because the term doesn't make any sense to me. The allure of telemark doesn't make any sense to me, but from what I understand, that's the point. So as long as that's what you want to do and you want to go skiing, that's great. I'm gonna keep picking on it because telemark people for some reason seem like they're really sensitive about this topic, and like that's fine. If somebody came up to me and was like, "You're a skier, you're a dork," I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm a dork." Like, end of story. That's totally fine. Telemark is weird. It's like the dorky little brother to a family of dorks, and that's fine. Like, there's no problem with being, if that's what you are, own it and have a good time with it and be yourself. If you're a telemarker, be a dork and own it. Like, it doesn't need to be more complicated than that. I will go telemark skiing this year. I will find out what makes people actually want to do this ridiculous thing. And honestly, the person who has been talking the heaviest crap about this particular topic isn't me, it's the other Adam. And he's actually pretty good at telemark, which is a whole nother discussion. We're not going to inflate his ego, but yeah, that's where most of the telemark hate comes from. Telemarkers, I love you, and I hope you have a great weekend.